Vtubers, the holy grail of anime waifus and husbandos, and a wonderful outlet for creativity for many people. I tried to become one, and inevitably realized it was not for me. But I learned a lot of things from my time as a VTuber, and I wanted to share some of them with you, who may be a VTuber or may be thinking about becoming one. As a disclaimer, I will be going into some negative and positive things here. These do not apply to every single VTuber, and this is all based on my own personal experience in the VTuber space and community. Also, I will be mentioning some specific interactions with people, but I'm going to be keeping names out of it, so if you recognize yourself in one of them, I'm sorry, but also not sorry. This is perhaps the most important lesson, especially in the indie VTubing space. A majority of the people involved in the VTubing community are small creators. It is surprisingly tight-knit. If you don't know someone, then there's a very high chance that you know someone who does. People talk about collabs they've got planned, frustrating interactions, and all sorts. Having a good reputation is the best way to ensure that you get collaboration offers, resulting in growth and audience crossover. But a bad reputation is also the best way to ensure your dreams of being a VTuber die within minutes. Every single day on VTwitter, there would be a new call-out post going around, usually with a Google Doc attached. Some of these were really important to be shared for a community so reliant on creatives. Calling out art theft and AI usage are a given, and predators are unfortunately very much a thing within the VTuber community as they are in any community, and this does need to have awareness brought to it. But you'd also see call-out posts for things that, while shitty for the person involved, should have remained private. People who broke up and rushed to document every sort of bad thing that the other person did, falling outs between friends. So often I'd see these docs and glance through them and think, why did they have to put them on blast on the internet? Was this call-out genuinely helping the community become a better place? Or was it just an opportunity to ruin the reputation of someone that they now disliked? Either way, the result would be the same. Someone's reputation would be ruined, and with that, so would their chances of existing in the VTuber space. It's not just viewers who would be reading this. I truly believe that the main audience for these call-out posts were other VTubers and artists, and the people who make up the core of the community. Fewer people would want to collab with them, and they'd lose a massive amount of support. They'd be ostracized, and if anyone wasn't caught up on the latest call-outs, they would risk the same treatment. And God forbid that the VTuber wanted to ever make a return, people would just recirculate the call-out post again, warning people of their apparent misdeeds. This isn't just unique to Twitter either, cesspit that it is. I also saw this behaviour on Discord, and it was starting to make its way onto Blue Sky with the mass exodus of VTubers. The main takeaway of this lesson is, of course, to conduct yourself politely and not be an asshole, but I think I'd like VTubers as a whole to consider whether all of these callouts are necessary, or whether some of them are better handled in private, because all it takes is one misstep in being a flawed human, and you could find yourself the primary target of a Google Doc. Alright, stop. I know I'm generalizing. There are two-faced people in every community, but I think that VTubers are in a unique position that allows and even encourages being two-faced. As I just said, reputation is everything. I once had someone try to befriend me with the specific intention to talk shit behind another VTuber's back, and it turned out that I was not the only person they were doing this to. I think this is what everyone thinks about when being two-faced, but it goes much further than this. I joined a few different Discord servers early on with the intention of networking and getting to know people. And you get to know people very differently in spaces that are perceived as private versus public. I remember a game came out that allowed you to choose a larger body type, and someone in voice chat started making fun of that body type in what most would consider a fat-phobic manner. The 6 or so other people in the voice chat laughed and kept the joke going, but what happened when, a few days later, the topic of fatphobia became a big thing in the VTuber community? All of those people denounced the same jokes that they had been making and laughing just a few days before. People are more likely to put on a mask and hop onto what are big topics in the community, even if they don't fully believe or align themselves with it. It gives them the impression of being morally upright, of being on the right side of the discussion. Reputation is everything, and they recognize that. Paying lip service to an issue is easy and even profitable if you're able to make a banging tweet or video about it. It's not just the ara or the boobs or the feet. Some VTubers like to employ a bit of flirtatious banter to entertain and build rapport with collab partners. But a lot of these VTubers don't ask whether the other person is comfortable with it, and they can get aggressively flirtatious or sexual, especially in private. I'm the kind of person who tries to just ignore and move past it, but there are times where I'd be speaking with a VTuber about collab plans or even just hanging out, and they would be very bold about the things they were saying, and it was something that I grew increasingly uncomfortable with. And the thing is, I wanted to pass it off as just that's how they are. I wanted to assume that surely they wouldn't be trying to flirt with me for real. We're networking. It is, despite the casual nature, a working relationship. Not only that, but they don't really know who I am. They certainly don't know what I look like. All they know is my VTuber's appearance and, to some degree, the persona that I sort of put on. There's no way that they actually mean what they're saying, and they don't want to date me. They're just being friendly. I'm the one in the wrong for misunderstanding their intentions. And yet, the amount of VTubers who suddenly no longer wanted to talk or collab together once they found out I had a partner is upsetting. I am a private person outside of my close friends. I did not like to talk about my private life when it came to VTubing stuff, so a lot of people didn't know that I have a partner of 6 years, unless I brought him up in conversation very rarely, and when that happened, a large majority of them suddenly didn't want to be my friend after finding that out. They would just stop talking to me. So I mean, if you're in the market for a relationship, then maybe VTubing is for you, but genuinely, a lot of VTubers will go straight out the gate with flirting, and while it might be platonic or a joke for you, you never know whether that's going to be the same for the person on the other side of the screen. Did you know that only one person ever checked in on me, whether I was comfortable with the flirting? Shout out to that guy, he was really respectful about it, and we both agreed it was just friendly banter, so be more like that guy. I've talked about all of the negative parts I've seen, so here's an actual positive part of the VTuber community. You are going to make friends through networking. I'm not talking about collab partners or mutuals on social media. I'm talking genuine friends who you make a connection with. I am a pathetic little introvert with some sort of niche hobbies, but even I was able to make friends, although it was mostly by being adopted by extroverts. I really hope that the negative things I've brought up don't make it seem like the VTuber community is full of creeps and assholes, because overall I've had a great time as a VTuber, and I've met people who I consider to be good friends outside of just VTubing, some of whom I share interests with, and others who I just share good vibes with. Here's the thing though, you will need to put effort into building friendships as well. Even me, the pathetic little introvert, tried hard to make it a two-way relationship with these people. Watching movies or TV series, messages to check in with them, silly memes, new updates about things we both liked, or doing little doodles or offering to help with stuff. Friendship is not a one-person effort. If you go into it expecting that friendship is going to drop into your lap, you're going to be disappointed. But you also need to recognize that not everyone is going into VTubing looking for friends. Some people care more about growth and engagement than community and collaboration, and I can't say that this is a bad mindset to have, just a different one. Spend your time and energy wisely. It's going to be obvious when people put building friendships over business relationships. I feel like putting this right after the friendship lesson is a bit awkward, but hear me out. While collabs can be a way of making new friends, they are also a way to grow your audience and bring in new viewers. Therefore, choosing who you do collaborate with is really important. This lesson is actually split into 2 parts: reliability and vibes. One time, I had a collab stream planned with someone. I was excited. We had planned almost a week in advance, but I hadn't heard anything from one person within the group of 4 of us. Fast forward to just before the stream, we're setting things up, and I hear this VTuber talking to their partner about how they'd completely forgotten about the collab until just an hour before it started when I triple checked everyone was still free. They thought they were muted and hadn't realised that the game had its own built-in voice chat that we could hear them through. Obviously, this was a mistake, and I wasn't meant to hear any of that, but it immediately meant that I didn't want to collaborate with that person in future because I couldn't rely on them to show up. Obviously, things come up, people have personal lives, but if someone cancels last minute or shows up extremely late, then they might not get an invitation to the next collab. Try to communicate as soon as you can if you're unable to make a collaboration, especially if it's going to be live streamed, as it can really throw a wrench in the works for other people. The second half is vibes. I know that this is really vague, but let me explain. If you collaborate with someone and they spend the whole stream in silence, what are they contributing to your stream? Likewise, if someone spends the whole stream making the same unfunny jokes or raging about how things aren't going good, are they contributing something positive to the stream? Potential viewers might be turned away from a stream if the vibes are off or aren't in line with how you usually have your stream. The best way to ensure you have the best vibes is to get to know other VTubers outside of collabs first. This can involve talking to them over Discord, such as through voice or text, hopping into their streams to get an idea of what they're normally like and playing games with them off-stream. Not only does this give you a good idea of what to expect from them during the collab, but it can also get rid of any jitters that you might experience when talking or playing with someone for the first time. This was a lesson that actually stopped me from wanting to be a VTuber. Streaming is a skill, and it requires a lot of social energy and time commitment. Oftentimes when you start out, you'll be talking to an empty chat, and you'll need to work hard to ensure you're keeping your energy up and being entertaining, even if it looks like nobody is there. For me, it felt incredibly lonely, so I decided that streaming wasn't for me. I could have stayed as a VTuber, but the reality was that my idea of it was so tied up in the idea of streaming that it felt weird to use Vex for anything else. But I could have done so many other things as a VTuber. People make both long and short form videos, such as story times or gameplay that they then edit down. I know a VTuber who's planning on making a podcast, and another who works on game development. Just because so many VTubers are also streamers doesn't mean that that's the only way to be a VTuber. Some of my favourite VTubers are actually those who upload videos to YouTube, and while they do stream, I've never actually watched them live. If you aren't enjoying streaming like I did, then you should look into other avenues of content creation, because you might find something that works way better for you. This isn't so much a lesson as it is a question. Because I'm an artist who has studied character design, I've had other VTubers come to me for help or critique on their designs. I've also read a lot of VTuber lore. People are so creative, even if they are new to art or writing, but sometimes I look at the things they make and I wonder, do they actually want to be a VTuber, or do they just want to make a cool original character? There's nothing wrong with this for the record, but I see people putting hundreds of words into their VTuber's backstory or supernatural abilities or world building, and it feels less like a VTuber and more like an OC. Your VTuber is a representation of yourself. First and foremost, they should feel like you. It's tempting to put on a completely different persona and have this in-depth lore, but the further away they are from how you are as a person, the harder it'll be for you to connect to them. I saw this disconnect frequently in the VTuber space, where VTubers would constantly rebrand because their design didn't feel like it fit them. They loved the design, it just was not them. You don't have to make your character a VTuber. They can exist purely as a way to have fun creatively, or to explore certain ideas, or to look cool. There's a whole separate community where people excitedly discuss their OCs and show them off to each other, and being a part of that doesn't mean you have to say goodbye to the VTuber community. I really hope that the first half of this video didn't scare anyone away from being a VTuber, because the community is amazing. I met some really awesome people there, and I really enjoyed the months that I spent as Vex. It was actually something that kept me from graduating sooner. When things were good, I was having so much fun, and I was scared that I might lose the friends that I made during my time as a VTuber. But the thing is, they are my friends. We are still friends, regardless of whether I'm Vex, or Milk, or Blaze. And I honestly learned a lot about myself regarding content creation and socializing. I'm pretty decent during collabs, but streaming alone makes me feel sad, and I struggle to keep talking when there's not somebody to bounce off of. But I surprisingly enjoyed editing pre-recorded gameplay and making scripted videos, and most importantly, I got over my anxiety around my friends seeing the things that I make, so all in all, I think my short stint as VTuber was beneficial to me, despite some of the negative parts of it. Thank you for watching up until this point. I've got some other videos that I'm working on, and I'm looking forward to making them, so subscribe, hit the bell, whatever it is that YouTube wants you to do to see the things I make, and theoretically you will be notified when I release those things into the wild. I am rambling now. Goodbye.